Nick Hudson.
The working team of Panda now spans the globe and includes a great many scientists, most of whom have to be members of Panda in a cryptic fashion. That's how bad the censorship in this world has become. We have believed from the get-go that it was wrong on a number of levels to close society down, and that it has always been time to reopen society. And we also believe that the truth only prevails if plans are taken to bring it to light. Our world is gripped by fear, and that fear is very much the product of a false narrative. When I say it's a false narrative, I'm telling you that every single element of this narrative is false. The narrative says that there's a deadly virus spreading across the planet, that nobody's immune to it, and there's no cure. Even asymptomatic people can spread it and are major drivers of the epidemic of disease. And unless we lock down and wear our masks until vaccines arrive and everybody gets vaccinated, we're all going to die. And anybody who challenges this narrative is a lunatic, a menace, a danger to society. 1.5 billion children had their educations effectively terminated, or at least severely disrupted. And that is even true for the few children of the wealthy who were able to attend classes online. And perhaps the hardest thing for me to swallow about all of this is in undergraduate epidemiology, it is a well-known finding that when you are confronted with a disease with sharp age graduation, as you are with coronavirus, measures to generally suppress the spread of the disease have the effect, reliably, of shifting the disease burden onto the vulnerable, who we should be protecting. They worsen, are expected to worsen, and do worsen coronavirus mortality. Closing up now with some stories on masks, because if you think the story around lockdowns is a lunatic story, this one is extreme. Here in March, we have the World Health Organization correctly telling everybody that there was no reason for the general public to be wearing surgical masks, let alone cloth ones. 3 months later, an inexplicable about-turn, again at the hands of Dr. Tedros. And I want you to note the date of that announcement. It is the 5th of June. It's astonishing because on the same day, the World Health Organization published this announcement that there is no direct evidence for the effectiveness of universal masking. The CDC did a similar about-turn just a couple of weeks before. Its guidance had ruled out mask mandates, and it suddenly produced some extremely flaky science, including my favorite here, a study of 2 hairdressers in Missouri who were reputedly symptomatic, wore masks, and didn't infect their young and probably not susceptible customers. Absolute nonsense. And it contradicted the CDC's simultaneous publication of a study of many years of the effectiveness of masking in the case of influenza, in which there was no evidence to suggest that even surgical masks were effective with that virus. And again, when you look at the data, we can compare the mask mandate states in orange with the non-mask mandate states in blue in America, and there's no difference. Nothing. The story that this is protective of you or somebody else is probably a harmful story. What does Fauci do in response to this? Evidence that the things don't work? Let's wear 2. What a joke. Tom Jefferson, the famous epidemiologist, is correct. Sometimes you get the feeling that a whole industry is waiting for a pandemic to occur. The reason you get that feeling is there is one. Big Pharma. I love this woke pope meme. It's made up, okay? This is not fact. But it does communicate an important point, that vaccines are being sold as a ticket to freedom by people who stand to make countless billions out of them. And we get to the extreme very quickly with Gavi, the conflicted vaccine alliance, telling us that nobody is safe unless everybody's safe. How convenient that we now have a logic that tells us that we need to vaccinate 7.8 billion people for a disease that has a mean survival rate of 99.95% for people under the age of 70. The profiteering here is naked. It is transparent. And so we have these sad situations of teenagers who are really not susceptible, lining up to get vaccinated in a desperation to get their freedoms back. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And we have this very dystopian, not a new normal, but a new abnormal. A PCR test that is not capable of diagnosing infectiousness or infectedness. It is wrong to call it a COVID test. COVID's a disease, not the presence of a virus. Inflated death numbers, media propaganda emerging from rampant disinformation by governments, not by Panda. We have restrictions on movement and travel. We have these ridiculous arbitrary rules. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, Fauci's out. Yeah, the evidence now shows that 6 feet can be reduced to 3. Yeah. I mean, can you even begin to take a person like this seriously? We have the looming vaccine passport, loss of personal liberties on an unprecedented level, and so on. And fear of reinfection, fear of long COVID, fear of resurgences and waves and mutations and variants, and it just is continuous and unnecessary. And it's putting us into a very Orwellian dystopia with pictures that have never been seen in living memory in liberal democracies.